All right, so this is going to be one of two tutorials that begins to dive into the stair settings and really kind of customizing our staircases. We did cover staircases earlier in one of the previous tutorials, but that was really just kind of how to create a stair. Now we want to dive into how to customize the actual staircase to get it to kind of fit the way or to look somewhat like you want it to look like. I often like to think of staircases or customizing staircases in kind of like three phases. The first phase is really not really a whole lot of customizing. It's what we've already created using the stair command and just kind of creating the staircase and making some minor adjustments to maybe the handrail or the design of the staircase, right? And that's pretty simple and straightforward. The second kind of level of customizing is actually adjusting, playing with the settings, and maybe changing the shape or the form of the staircase. And that's what we're going to be covering in the next two lectures. There's a third level of customizing, and that is to fully customize everything. What we're going to be covering today, you're going to begin to see that a lot of these objects and a lot of these things that we have an option to kind of customize, they're all pre-made families. And so the next stage or the next level of customizing or the fullest way to customize stairs in Revit is to create all sorts of individual profiles and individual families, which, as you can imagine, is extremely time consuming. So we're not going to cover that, but we are going to begin to kind of play around with the settings. So in today's lecture, or in this lecture here, what we're going to do is to kind of take a look at the settings in the staircases to see what can we do, what changes can we make to the actual stair settings that gives us a kind of more interesting staircase. Okay, so I'm going to change this to shaded view, and it's really just going to be kind of clicking and playing around. So I'll go ahead and click on the staircase, and I'm going to select edit type. Now, before you do this, we want to duplicate, and we're just going to change this to, and I'm going to call it test. And I recommend that you create a staircase and call it a test. And this way we can go ahead and test whatever settings we want to. And if at the end of the day we don't like it, we can simply just not use it or just delete this type property. But it's really good to be able to just have a stair type that we can adjust and play around with the settings so that we can see what does what. So what I'm going to do is start at the top, run type, wood steps with 1 inch front nosing. What this is referring to is our tread right over here. So if I click inside there and I click on the 3 dots, it takes me into additional settings. So if I wanted to, I could change the material by clicking inside and maybe I don't want cherry. Maybe I want a different type of wood material. Maybe I want carpet, right? We've been here before. We can go ahead and search, do a search inside here. We can also go in, oops, sorry, click on the home, click on AEC materials, and really pull up whatever material it is that we want, right? So maybe we want a concrete. So we can go ahead and bring that up. We can just kind of click this up and say that's what our stair is going to be. We'll hit apply and OK. There we have it. Okay, I could hit apply. Now, unfortunately, it's highlighted, so I don't really get to see any of the material changes until I fully exit out of the type properties. Well, I guess we might as well do that. We'll hit apply and OK. And so now I have a concrete steps. Let's go ahead and click here. Let's go back into edit type. We're still in the residential test. So this is just changing material. If I want to remove the risers, I could click that and hit apply, and you'll see that my risers are removed. Now, I wouldn't recommend removing the treads, okay? But we can change the tread thickness if we wanted to. We could also change the nosing profile. And that is, right now it's a stair nosing radius 1 inch, okay? Because our tread thickness is 1 inch, but we also have 3/4 of an inch. You'll notice here that we have different profiles. This is what I was referring to. If we want a different profile for the staircase, then we're going to have to create that as a profile family, which we're not doing. But just so you know, that is an option if you wanted to change the shape or the look or the profile of the tread. Okay. I'm going to hit apply and OK. So that's under the construction right here where it says run type. So I recommend that you go inside there and just kind of play around with it, see what options we have here. Then the next part is our support. Okay, so right now we have the stringers on the left and the right, but I could also change this to a carriage, right? And I could do the same thing with the left if I wanted to, or maybe the right side is a carriage and the left side is a stringer. So I can make that customization as well. I could also add an offset. So maybe on the inside, I want this to go in, I don't know, let's say 4 inches. And now that offsets. Let's do another 4 inches over there. That offsets inward. I could also add a middle support. I'll hit apply, and now I have that middle support. I can even add multiple middle supports. Let's say 3. There we go. I could even go in and delete or remove the right support and remove the left support. And maybe we bring this down to 2. Okay. So we have that as an option as well. We can also, let's go over here under run type. Should have covered this before as well. The tread profile is set to default, but I believe, oh no, it's not here. Oh, here we go, apply nosing profile. I can also apply this to the front and the left side, the front and the right side, or the front, left, and right side. So take a look over here specifically on the right side of the tread. I'll hit apply. And now you can see that the tread is or has the profile on all sides of the tread, which is nice. So hit apply and OK. So you can see that just with some minor changes to the stair properties, to the type properties of the stairs, we could really make what was a pretty traditional looking staircase into something much more modern and sleek, just with a few clicks of a button. The other thing I want to take a look at, or the other thing that's pretty simple to adjust, and it gives us a lot of range, is our railing settings. I'm pretty much just going to cover the glass panel railing because the hand railing, this one here, is pretty simple. I think if we understand the glass railing, then this stuff here becomes much more easier to understand. So let's go to glass panel. Okay, so there we have, this is what our glass panel currently looks like. Go ahead and change the view a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to do the same. Oh, I have to select it first. Let's click on the glass panel there and edit type. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to duplicate it just because I don't want to make changes to the settings for this default glass panel. So let's call this test. I'll hit OK. All right. So right now we have the rails and we have the balusters. Okay. So if you remember from the staircase tutorial, The balusters are the vertical things, okay? And then rails are the horizontals. So if we want to adjust the rail structure, which is these horizontal metal, these 1x1 metal, I don't know, rails, we can go and edit that. Then we have the balusters, which are the vertical things. Now the glass panel falls under the baluster placement because it's running vertically. These metal bars here are part of the rail structure. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rail structure first. We'll go ahead and edit. And here, what I like to do is click on this preview button because it gives me a preview of the actual rail itself, or of the actual handrail itself. So here we have rail 1 and we have rail 2. So let's say I wanted to make a change to the way this looks. And let's say I want to add a rail at the bottom. So now that moves down. And maybe I want to keep that one 2 feet 8, but let's say I want to add another one. So let's go ahead and hit insert and we have a new rail. So let's go ahead and call this rail mid. And this is going to have a height of, I don't know, let's say, I'm just going to make a number up, 20 inches, okay, which is 1'8". And the profile, I'm going to set that to be the same as these other ones, these 1-inch square handrails. So let's click on the pull down and square handrail right there. So let's hit apply. You know what? Maybe I want to move this mid rail up 2 inches. No. Well, let's just leave it at that. Okay. So now we have these rails in the location we want to place them in. I'll hit apply and then OK. And now let's play around with the glass. You see, the problem with the glass is that there's a gap right there. Okay, so that means we have to make that change. We have to adjust that. So let's go into edit. And here you see panel glass, 2 feet 8. And then you'll see that we have host, we have base, and we have top. So the base and top begins to remind us of the base constraints. Remember when we're adding walls, we have that base constraint and we have a top constraint. Well, it works the same exact way. So here for base, click inside here and click on this pull down. And I want to say that the base is going to attach to rail 2 and the top is going to attach to rail 1. Let's hit apply. Okay, so we got some change, but not what we wanted. So here, there's a gap there and there's a gap at the top. So let's take a look at the settings. And it's right here. Notice how we have a base offset. Now we didn't change this. This was the default kind of setting. So let's go ahead and change this to 0 inches. The same thing over here. Change that to 0 inches and apply. There we go. So now the glass panel has a base host for rail 2 and a top host for rail 1. So if we go back and we make any changes to the height of rail 1 and rail 2, then the glass is going to adjust accordingly because we've made that setting right here. So let's go ahead and hit apply and OK. And there's our railing. Now you'll notice that we didn't touch this top kind of circle elliptical railing. So that's known as our top rail. So these other ones are just known as rails, but the one all the way at the top is known as our top rail. And the setting for this one is separate from the other ones. So here we have a top rail, okay? And it tells me the height, so I could change the height if I wanted to. I'm going to click inside here and change the profile. And maybe instead of a 1 inch, I'll just go with 2x2. So let me hit apply and OK. And there we have that. Apply and OK. And now we have that change. Let's click on this wheel. Oops, sorry. I just want to, where is right here, class panel test. So there we have it. Okay. So there you can see that with just a few changes to the default kind of type settings, we have a lot of kind of space to make our own customizations of the staircase itself. Okay. Now the next one is going to be, what about the shape of the staircase? What if we wanted, right now it's just a straight shape. What if we wanted to customize the shape? So that's what's going to be covered in the next tutorial. Okay.